Hi, welcome to my channel. Thanks for stopping by. Today I'm going to be participating in an Easter DIY challenge. And this challenge is hosted by Heidi Sumble of Happily Thriving Heidi. And I'm going to go ahead and list Heidi's channel down below in the description box, along with the playlist of everybody who's going to be participating in this challenge so that you can check out everybody's videos and see what everybody's doing for Easter. Now, let's get started. First off, I found this 3/8 inch piece of plywood that my husband had, and it's 11 3/4 inches by 18 1/4 inches. Now, with this, I'm going to be using some Master's Touch acrylic paint, and it's in the milky white color. And I'm adding quite a bit of water to this paint, and I'm just going to kind of whitewash this piece of plywood. And you can see here, I keep just dipping my brush into the water and then mixing it up with the milky white paint. And I'm just trying to give this piece of wood a whitewash look to it. I'm not trying to totally paint it to where the grain and everything is completely covered. And you can see here, I'm just going along, giving it a good coating. And you can see at the far end, as it's starting to dry, you can still see the wood right through it, and that's just what I wanted. And we're just going to work our way all the way down and making sure we get all the way to the edges and it's totally covered. Now, once it's completely covered and dry, then I take some of this Master's Touch raw umber paint, and I'm going to put a little bit of this on my paper plate here that I always use to mix my paints. And again, I'm adding a lot of water to it. And you can see that I'm just really watering it down. This Master's Touch acrylic paint tends to be very thick. I think it's more for painting on canvas, but I just add a lot of water to it. And I'm going to first off go right along all the sides of our board here and just coloring that sides, or just painting those sides all this dark raw umber color. I think that's just going to give it a really nice edge to be able to display without having to put this in any type of frame or anything by the time we're done. And when you do this, just go ahead and go all the way around your entire board. Now, once that's done, I'm using my brush, and I'm keeping my brush a little bit drier. I don't want it really wet, and I'm just kind of going all the way around the sides. Now, this isn't dry brushing. I have more paint on it than like a dry brush, but it's not really sopping wet either. And I'm just lightly just kind of brushing right along the edges of my board all the way along. I'm just trying to get this look. I want to be able to see the brush strokes of my paintbrush. And I'm not being real specific about it. I'm just kind of brushing along all the way. Like I said, I want to be able to see those paintbrush lines because I'm kind of going for kind of like that, the look that you get from the rays of the sun. When the sun is kind of coming through the clouds, you kind of get the rays shining down. I'm kind of going for something of a look like that. So I think that the lines from the paintbrush kind of give me that. Now, once that is all done, I picked up this cross at Walmart, and it was only $2 and some change. I'm going to paint this with this light cinnamon paint, which is Deco Art Americana in the light cinnamon. And I'm going to go ahead and paint this entire cross in this color. Now, when you're doing this, just make sure you get all along the little edge, all along the sides there too, because you want to have your cross completely covered well. Now, once that's done, Now I'm going and I'm almost dry brushing. It's not quite, but just a little bit more than dry brushing some of that raw umber all along the edges of our cross. Just like what you see here. And I'm just kind of dabbing at it. Again, I don't mind seeing all the little brush strokes. I think that really adds something to it. And I'm just doing this all the way around the edges. And I'm really liking that. It's really making the center of the cross kind of stand out more. And I think that's good. And you can kind of see the effect that I'm getting here by that. And now I'm going to take that raw umber and I'm going to go ahead and paint that center part. And give that kind of that darker look to it. And now you can kind of see it there, how that light cinnamon underneath all this raw umber just kind of makes it stand out. I really like that look, how it really makes it stand out a little bit more. Now I just have a little square of white fabric here, and it's 8.5 inches by 8.5 inches. And I'm just going to fold it from corner to corner. And I'm going to go ahead and cut off this bottom portion of it here. And I'm leaving, it's probably a good 2 inches, maybe 1.5 inches from the edge to the folded part. And now I'm going to take some white thread and I'm just going to go ahead and sew right along this bottom line. We're going to poke our needle through here at the very edge, and then we're just going to move our material back and forth onto our needle. We're just going to poke our needle in and out and in and out, just like that, putting a little bit of your material onto your needle with each stitch here. Just like that. This is a really easy type of stitch to do. Now, if you have a sewing machine, you could easily just whip this off on your sewing machine, but I wanted to kind of show this type of stitch. So for anyone who doesn't have a sewing machine who may want to do this, this is an incredibly easy stitch to do. And I'm not trying to make even all my stitches perfect or even or anything. I'm just trying to connect these two pieces of material together. And so this is a quick and easy way of doing it. And there you can kind of see the stitches. And now once you get all the way to the end, just go ahead and wrap your thread around your needle a couple times and then pull it, and that will make your knot for you. And just pull that knot tight and go ahead and snip that off. Now we're going to snip that last little thread off there. And now we have that sewn along the bottom edge. Now we're going to turn it inside out. That way nobody will be able to see that seam from where we sewed. And there it is. Now what we're going to do is, our cross is all dry. We're going to take our material, and with the seam that we just did going straight down, see, that's on the bottom side, we're just going to take that and flip it over on the other side of our cross, and we're just going to have this hanging down right on the front of our cross, just like that. And I'm really liking the way that looks. We have a nice swag there. So now we're just, while holding it, we're going to just flip that over. And now where those are coming down, we're just going to take our hot glue and we're going to put a little bit of hot glue on there and just hot glue those pieces of material right to the back of our crosshair. Good. Now we're going to do the same thing over here on this side. And then just fold that piece of material down. Perfect. And that just takes a half a second here to dry. And what we're going to do is grab our scissors and we're going to cut off the extra piece of material that's hanging down below our cross. And do that on both sides here. And there's our cross now with our material swagged on it. Now what we're going to do is we're going to get our board and we're going to set our board down here. And we're going to figure out exactly where we want to place our cross on our board. And I kind of want it up here towards the top a little bit. Now, once you have it figured out where you want it, just go ahead and hot glue the back of your cross. And put a good amount of hot glue, because remember, you have that material coming down from where you just attached it. So you want a good amount of hot glue so that when you press it down, it'll be thick enough that it can get around that material. Now make sure your cross is nice and straight when you put it back on. And just hold it down for a second. Good. Now we have some of these white hydrangeas. These were 97 cents at Walmart. And I'm just going to use a couple of the bunches along with the leaf that comes with them. And I'm just going to figure out here about where I want them. I want to go ahead and hot glue a few of these right along the bottom of our cross. I think that will look so pretty. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a dab of hot glue right in the middle of these leaves, and then I'm going to put the hydrangea bunch right on it. That way I don't have to worry about the two kind of coming apart. And I'm just going to hot glue those. They'll just take a second. That way I know my leaves are going to stay right where I want them to. Now I've done that to all of the bunches, all three of my little bunches here. Now I'm going to just go ahead and kind of rearrange them and figure out exactly how I want them to look. And I'm kind of liking this. Now from this side you can kind of see where the stems from the leaves are. Instead of picking them up and then resetting them down, I'm just going to go and use my hot glue gun and put a good dab of hot glue right on top of the edge of each of the stems there. Just hot gluing those stems right in place where they are. Since I've already decided that's exactly how I want them, here, I'll show you. Now that you can see it kind of close up there where I just put a good amount of hot glue right on the edge of those stems. Now I'm going to take one more bunch of our hydrangeas, and they come with 3 little stems of flowers on each little bunch, and I'm going to go ahead and cut each one of those 3 little stems of flowers off. And each one of those little stems of flowers have 2 flowers a piece on it. And now that I've cut those apart, while that hot glue is still warm because it was kind of puddled, so it takes a little longer to cool, I'm going to go and just push one little stem of these hydrangeas right into that hot glue from this angle. That way, you won't be able to see the glue or the back of the stems from this angle. And there we have it. Now that it's all dry, you can see the hydrangeas and our cross, I think it looks beautiful. Here it is where I set it up next to our Bible, and I have my crown of thorns, which I sent away to Israel for, and I absolutely love this. This is really what Easter is all about to me, is remembering what my Savior did for me, how he died on the cross for me and for my sins. And this is something that just is very personal to me. And so as much as I love bunnies and chicks, this is what I wanted to focus my main Easter thing on. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, I'd really appreciate it if you give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell so you'll be notified the next time I upload a video.